Hey everybody, Mike Stroud here with Ed Phillips. He's over the Tourism Development Authority here in Burke County, runs the Visitor Center, and man, this place is nice, Ed. It's good to be on the podcast. Ed, let's talk about you and everything you got going on.
Thank you, Mike. It's it's a pretty day here. It's July 3rd, 2025, and I got on my red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Getting ready to celebrate, 249 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Next year will be 250. So we got a lot going on with that. And we're sitting here in the Visitor Center here at 140 North Sterling Street in downtown Morganton. And we try to represent the whole county, all of Burke County. It's a big place, from the Blue Ridge Parkway to South Mountains. And we just try to emphasize that when you walk in here, you can learn about the whole county. We see about 3,000 visitors a year here.
It's amazing.
From 30, so far this year, I think it's 33 states and 7 foreign countries. And occasionally we like to joke, in 1 foreign planet.
No doubt. Well, we got the alien back there in the corner, right?
There he is.
He's there on standby. Well, Ed, the place is beautiful down here. I mean, you've done a fantastic job. People, when they come in, man, they're going to be blown away by the art, some of the photographers around, the layout. I mean, they can get the whole gauntlet where to go right here in Burke County from you guys.
Yeah, and we have not only the beautiful art and the beautiful building, but we also have the staff that's knowledgeable and can talk to people about any subject. We get people come in. You get 100 people in here, you got 100 different people, different interests, things that they want to see and do here. Do they want to go shopping for pottery and locally made jewelry or wood crafts, or do they want to go hiking or just shopping or just see the lake or the rivers or eat in a fantastic restaurant? We got restaurants here that have been recognized as some of the best in the state.
That's right.
And so we talk it up and let people know the fun place is to come and visit Burke County. We also have a lot of people come in here that are looking to move here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it is nature's playground, and it's when a person drives through Burke County for the first time. I know when I first come up here from out of Rock Hill, Charlotte area, I didn't realize the mountains was this close.
Yeah.
We always went to the beach, and and then the history and everything. People want to come here, and I got a lot of friends from up north looking for Lake James, and looking for those 4 seasons, and then you got the Linville Gorge, and the Grand Canyon of the East. I mean, it's amazing what all's here.
Yeah, it really is, and the people, you can come here and go on a short hike if you want to at a place like Oak Hill Community Park. That's not difficult, and it's close to town. Or you can get out in the wilderness. You can get in the Pisgah National Forest, and you can drive up Old Highway 105. There's not another gravel/dirt road like it in the state.
I love it.
And the scenery is spectacular. We have a picture over here behind the...
it's one of my favorites, Wiseman's View.
Wiseman's View, looking over there. And
absolutely.
People come in here and they go, where is that? I want to go there.
I want to go there.
And so we think we do a good job of sending people out based on their physical abilities. Where can they? Because that's not a hike, that's a walk. You can go walk out there.
Absolutely.
And it's handicap accessible with a wheelchair too. It's paved. And then we look at other people and they go, hey, we want to go on a real hike and go up to somewhere, and we'll send them to Table Rock or Hawksbill.
Exactly.
And they can get up there and look and see 360-degree panoramic view.
Right.
We've actually had people come in the Visitor Center who were driving Interstate 40 and they see Table Rock, and they come in here and go, can we get to the top of that mountain? Yes, you can.
You sure
and
can.
we give them a map, and we tell them how to drive and get up there. And so it's fun to meet people and talk to people.
Well, you was mentioning earlier, we've got 2 state parks in Burke County. That's pretty impressive. And talking about high spots, I was up at, I think, call it Buzzard's Peak or something.
Buzzard's Roost,
Buzzard's Roost.
Randy
Burns was telling me about that, old commissioner here in town too. And he used to he'd ride up there and take dates up there and watch the planes fly. And that's the first time I drove up there. And it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah,
right here in Burke County.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how all the things that we have here and all the features, and you guys are really highlighting every bit of that.
Oh yeah. And our history here is very interesting too. So the railroad first came through Burke County in the mid-1880s.
Okay.
Not exactly sure, but somewhere in the 1880s it passed through here.
Well, you got the deaf school and all
got
that
the
stuff.
deaf school, and Broughton was being constructed there. Both of those buildings, all those brick buildings were built with brick that was made with clay that was harvested down where the soccer complex is now.
Really?
Behind the Ingles down here.
Were the over the mountain men?
Yeah,
Down that
right
whole
down
area
in there.
right there?
There was a brick factory down there that was built just to build bricks
Wow.
for those two facilities. And so you have that history
cool.
of that, and then once the railroad came through here, then you had around 1890, George Vanderbilt came through here looking for land in the western North Carolina mountains to build his massive estate.
Right.
And the story goes, he came through Morganton, Burke County, and said, I want to buy this, 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 and this. And people were like, we ain't selling. So he couldn't find enough land.
Right.
So he kept on going and ended up in Asheville and bought tens of thousands of acres up there, maybe hundreds of thousands of acres up there to build the estate. So we came that close to being the Biltmore here, but you know, it's got its good and bad.
We got Broughton.
We got Broughton. We got NCSSM
That's
now,
right.
School of Math and
That's
Science,
right. Yeah.
which is a nationally acclaimed institution, part
absolutely.
of the UNC system, and
It's
300 students from all over North Carolina that come here.
Very engaging, smart
Yes.
students. I mean, it's amazing that
Yes,
they've got going
yes.
on there.
And then we're celebrating, America 250 next year, and the Revolutionary War history here and the colonial history that's here was very interesting. The Over Mountain men marched in from Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and gathered in Morganton at Quaker Meadows and put their plan together to go down and fight the British at Cowpens and Kings Mountain that turned the tide of the war towards the Patriots, towards the people who were settled here already. And so that history in itself led to Freedom High School, Independence Boulevard.
Right.
And the preservation of that history is carried out at our History Museum here, which has lots of exhibits on it. The Quaker Meadows Plantation House, the Charles McDowell House, even the old courthouse here, which came later. But all of those places are a historical part of our history.
Yes.
And keep our history alive. And we have active groups here too.
Yes,
the Sons of the American Revolution, the Daughters of the American Revolution, Historic Burke Foundation, like I said, the History Museum, that are actively keeping our history alive.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is actively keeping history alive. I remember as a kid, I remember all these stories, and being from, Rock Hill, York County, Battle of Kings Mountain, all those kind of things, and Brattonsville, and, all these things over the mountain, man. Then when I move here, I'm just amazed by it, Ed. I'm amazed by Thomas Polk down in Charlotte, and I'm amazed by, all the characters that played parts, Waitstell Avery, all these people that are from here, and Morgan Daniel, or Daniel Morgan, and these were just powerful people that right here that turned the whole tide of our country, set a whole new thing in motion. And so it's right here in Burke County. You know.
One thing I think is probably of the historical interest to people is the Burke County Gold Rush. And let me tell you a little bit about that. Let me tell you a little bit about that. So in 1828, gold was discovered in Brindletown.
Okay.
The original first gold discovered in America was in 1799 down, close to Charlotte, just north of Charlotte, at Reed Gold Mine. Reed Gold Mine. But when gold was discovered in 1828 in Brindletown, and the miners came in here, and then we had about 10,000 enslaved people that came here to mine for gold along Silver Creek and Little Silver Creek and all those tributaries.
Wow.
And they found so much gold here that it led to the Beckler Mint being built down in Rutherford County in Rutherford. And then there's so much gold found all in the area. Gold dust is it's hard to trade gold dust. So they make coins out of it, which they did. Then the U.S. Mint was built in Charlotte, and that lasted until the Civil War. Yeah. And then Charlotte rose up as a banking community, and it still is a banking community that started from the gold rush here and around the Charlotte area too. But here's the interesting thing. They found that gold, and in 5 years, they mined and mined and mined and found so much gold. But they left the gold here and went to California because they thought gold mine's hard work. And they went to California where they thought getting the gold out was going to be easier. And they left here, and they left the gold in the creeks and in the ground here. It's still there. I have mined for gold myself. I've panned for gold. I've run a dredge. I have found gold here.
Right.
Smokefoot,
Smokefoot.
Trade and Loan next door sells gold mining equipment.
I know.
At one time, they were the largest gold mining equipment dealer on the east coast of the United States.
Really?
They sold King gold mining equipment over there. But the thing I like to tell people here is the gold is in the ground in these veins of gold, and then when it came to the surface and it was eroded by the water, it became placer gold, free gold in the creeks.
Right.
But the gold veins are still in the ground in Burke County.
Yeah.
And if you could go find one and start chiseling away at it,
wow.
Who knows what you would find? Yeah, who knows what you'd find?
What's Mr. Stroud doing down that dirt road?
Where'd he go? But gold prospectors are very secretive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you find any gold? Yeah, and they'll show you a vial of it.
Yeah.
And I said, where'd you find it? Can't tell you.
Yeah,
not going to tell you.
Not going to tell you.
I'll see you. Don't you follow me either.
Don't you follow me. That's too funny.
Yeah.
I remember that guy, I can't remember what, it was just maybe a county over that found that, I think at the time, world's largest emerald or...
yeah, there's been a lot of gemstones found. Not so many in Burke County, but in Alexander County, Hiddenite over there, and then up in Spruce Pine area, Mitchell County. They call it the Carolina Emerald was up there. It was a big, giant, beautiful emerald.
Right.
So we've got a lot of mining history here and historic, and it brought people here to really settle here. This reminded them, the Scotch-Irish came here, reminded them of Scotland and Ireland.
Right.
And they settled here. The McCormicks was a big name that's still around here. And they just enjoyed it. The furniture industry has a lot of history here too. Absolutely. And all the furniture plants that grew up here. And at one time they said from downtown Morgan, the courthouse square, all the way to the railroad tracks down here on Sterling and Green Street, was just one long furniture plant right after the other. And there was a big fire, I think in the 1920s or 30s that burned all that down. But still, we had a long history of making case goods, hard furniture here. And that's, Drexel Heritage and Henry Don and all that.
Got big names internationally, it's going to be a lot to turn back and, change. I think things are turning around, and some things are coming around. The tourism is a big part of that here, just remembering all those things. Ed, let's talk about just a little bit about the Brown Mountain Lights. Now, I know because everybody talks about that, and that's a big thing here in Burke County.
So the Brown Mountain Lights back in 2012, I had some people come to me that had seen the Brown Mountain Lights, and they said, Ed, you got to do something to promote that. And so I held a symposium, and I held it over at City Hall in the council chambers, and we actually sold tickets to it, and we fed them. We had speakers and scientists and people come and talk about it. And we had a professor from Appalachian State University that came, and he made people mad. He said, there's no evidence of the Brown Mountain Lights. We don't know what they are, and they don't exist until they're proven to exist. And everybody booed him because all these people were there, and many of them had seen the Brown Mountain Lights.
Right.
And if you talk to anybody in Burke County at any length of time, either they've seen them as a kid, or they know somebody that's seen them.
Right.
And so they have been visually viewed here in Burke County. We have the Brown Mountain Overlook up 181 on the right.
It's beautiful.
And in 2001, a local photographer had spent 30 days up there every night, 30 nights up there, looking at Brown Mountain with a video camera and a still camera. And that fall, he saw a light come up over Brown Mountain. And he had a old 35 millimeter camera, and he opened the lens on that thing for I think it was 90 seconds, and that light drifted around and created a bright spot in that camera. Yeah. And then right at the very end of that 90 seconds, it shot off in a perfectly straight line towards Grandfather Mountain. Yeah. We have that picture here.
Oh man.
We have it blown up. We have it here in the visitor center. And
y'all come on down.
Yeah, come down and check this out. So we had that symposium, and I sold out of tickets. We had 125 people. So then later that year, other people said, "Oh, we want to come and hear speakers and hear about this again." And so I thought, well, I just had the symposium, but what could I do a little different? Right. So somebody came to me and they said, Ed, there's Forest Service district rangers that worked in the Pisgah National Forest and on Brown Mountain and the Linville Gorge that saw the lights too. They've seen them. So I interviewed these guys, and I tell you, when I talked to them about what they saw, working at night, Brown Mountain, Linville Gorge, Table Rock, Hawksbill, it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Absolutely.
So we held a second symposium that year in 2012. It was called The Brown Mountain Lights, What Does Our Government Really Know? So we played into the conspiracy theory that our government might know something.
Right.
And man, we held it over at Comma. We sold hundreds of tickets. People came. And we had some exhibitors set up that talked about it. But then the two guys that came, Wes Barrell and C.W. Smith from McDowell County, who worked in the National Forest as law enforcement officers, and the stories they told about what they saw was just crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's something.
Yeah.
The lights are something.
They're something.
But what are they? Nobody knows. And but that symposium that we held, we had a reporter from the Stroud Observer, Mark Washburn, and he came up and he wrote an article about the symposium and the Brown Mountain Lights. And the Associated Press, he ran an article in the Stroud Observer, and then the Associated Press picked up that article, and it ran all over the world. For about 6 months, different places it would run.
Yeah.
It reached billions with a B of people read that article.
Right.
And it put Morganton and Burke County kind of on the map for this, to people to come see this.
Right.
And so we started having visitors come and look around and ask questions. We produced a viewing guide for it. We had a writer come in, and he had researched it, and he wrote the viewing guide, where to see them, what they might be, what's the science behind it, if there is any. That professor at Appalachian State still said they don't exist. He couldn't catch one in a jar.
Can't catch one in a
jar,
like a light bug.
So they don't exist. But we know they're real. I've seen them once.
Sure.
And I saw them with a travel writer, because we host, part of our marketing of Burke County is not just advertising.
Right.
But we bring journalists here to write about Burke County.
Right.
We've brought hundreds in over the last 10 years. And I had a writer come, and he was from down in the Wilmington area, Jason Fry. And he came up here, and we went up there to Brown Mountain Overlook, and we're looking over there. It was 9:45 at night. We're sitting in some chairs out there, and we look over there, and we see this light pop up on the side of Brown Mountain. And he looks at me, he says, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm watching that." And then it faded out, and then it reappeared down a few hundred yards down another place. And then it split in two, and there were two lights over there glowing on the side of the mountain. And I said, "I've never seen them before, but that's it. That's got to be what that is, because it's cliffs over there. Yeah. There's no trails. There's nothing. Now, there are ATV trails up on top and down on the other side, but not right where we saw them. It's straight cliffs." Well, that was it. We saw the Brown Mountain Lights. Yeah. And later, about, 8 or 9 years later, Jason was interviewed about his writing career. And Our State Magazine asked him, said, "What's the most North Carolina thing you've ever done?" He said, "Well, I was with Ed Phillips up there outside of Burke County, and I saw the Brown Mountain Lights." Oh, he said that was the highlight of his career of writing about North Carolina.
Ain't that something?
And I said I was proud of that.
Yeah,
absolutely. We went out and saw that. So we've turned I call it North Carolina's premier paranormal attraction.
Right.
If we could turn it on and off and sell tickets to it, it'd be great. But nobody knows what it is.
Sure.
And if you go on top of Brown Mountain where they ride ATVs and stuff, it's boulders big as houses and very rocky. Yeah. And, there's cactus growing up there. Yeah. I mean, it's not like anything else around here. And you go, why? What is it?
What's going on?
We don't know.
But there's all kind of things going on.
Yeah. But we do have a cool actual photograph here of it in the visitor center. People come in and look at it. And then there was a movie filmed here called Alien Abduction. Yeah. And it was filmed here, I think it was in 2013, I believe that's right. And I found out about it, and the movie was based on the Brown Mountain Lights. It said when the lights appear, people disappear. And the premise was that these lights were aliens,
Yeah.
and they were kidnapping people
Right.
here. And so they had this movie, and we actually had the world premiere of that movie here at the theater in downtown Morganton. Sold 600 tickets. People came to see it.
Yeah.
We had a red carpet, which I don't know if you know this. You can rent a red carpet
Yeah.
from Valley Rentals.
Okay.
And some white stanchions put
Right.
up. And we got some blacked out SUVs, and we picked them up and dropped them off right out in front, and they
Yeah.
hopped out. It was a real Hollywood
event.
premiere.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun, and we had a body painter painted up this lady to look like an alien, and she got a lot of exposure out of that too. But it's
Right here in
fun.
Burke County.
It's fun. It's fun stuff. People want to
Yeah.
come and visit
Yeah.
a place and have fun and talk about stories and go
Yeah.
home and remember it.
Exactly. There's all kind of things. We got another one. Just even pivot on that, and we'll start kind of winding it down. And we can talk forever just in Burke County. But just tell me a little bit about Joara. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, Joara. Yeah.
I mean,
And
we
the
could be
Indian-
speaking Spanish, right?
Yeah, Fort San Juan, and the Indian village of Joara, which is just outside. They call it the Berry site because the Berry family owns the land
Right.
where it is. It's an archaeological site. It was a Spanish fort
Right.
in the mid 1550s, and was there for about a year or two. There were 29 Spanish conquistadors there.
Yeah.
They built a fort, and then after about a year, there was an uprising from the natives, and they killed them except for one. And the one Spanish guy escaped.
Wow.
And he made it all the way back to St. Helena, which was in, I can't remember if it's Georgia, South Carolina. But anyway, down there to the coast, and told what happened.
Yeah.
And so the story went on. It went back to Spain and was kept in the historical records. So they didn't know exactly for years where the fort was, but there was an Indian mound out there. And then they started some excavations, and they finally discovered and proved within the last decade that it was the Fort San Juan.
Wow.
And it's
cool.
not really an attraction for people to go out and see because it's an active archaeological site. But we hope to have a permanent exhibit at the Burke County History Museum where people can go and see the artifacts that have been found, both Spanish and Native American.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of our attraction. Mike, one of the things I like to tell people when I'm talking about tourism here is tourism is not always in everybody's face, right? So you're a visitor here, you're a resident here, and you got visitors coming in, but they may not be in your neighborhood. They may not be walking down the street with a name tag that says, I'm a visitor.
Right.
But we have a lot of businesses here that depend on tourism for their livelihood. And I mentioned some of them. One of them was like Hamilton Williams Pottery and the beautiful local artwork and jewelry that is sold, that is made around here. Most of his customers are from out of town. Benjamin and Libba's clothing company, same. Most of their customers are from out of town. We call those destination retailers.
Right.
People come in. CBS Sports up on 181 that sells canoes and kayaks and hiking and outdoor. And on the weekends, most of their business is from tourists coming from out of town. During the week, it's a mix of locals and whatever. But we have about 900 people in Burke County that are directly employed in a tourism-oriented business that takes money. And the state of North Carolina does research and by county every year. And the last one available is 2023. And visitors spent $137 million in Burke County that year.
Wow.
And that just grows a few percentage points every year and has grown for a long time. It's never taken a dip here. We've always had positive growth of tourism here. And these visitors come in, if they spend the night, they spend 3 times as much money as a day tripper. But we like day trippers too.
Yeah, exactly.
They come in and eat in our restaurants, and we've had several restaurants here recognized statewide for the best barbecue, farm to table.
Right.
We got a lot of new ones in the town.
Coming
in the county, the whole county really.
Absolutely.
And we keep up with all that on our website, discoverburkecounty.com.
Yeah, discoverburkecounty.com. And it's pretty informative on and anything people are looking for, want to do, engage in, it's there, and
it's all there.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
Ed, man, this is, I love this kind of stuff. I'm just sitting here listening to Ed, man. I'm just going to assume I go on and on and on. We're going to keep doing stuff like this. You guys know me, and man, I'm just so glad Ed took time out. Come down to the Visitor Center here in Morganton, right downtown, man. It's beautiful. Visit the website, discover.
BurkeCounty.com.
Right, and man, we'll keep you informed of everything that's going on, man. Y'all come on. Western North Carolina's open, and Burke County's the place to be at, baby.